Okay, buddy, let's get you out of there.
What happens when a police officer rescues a wild cougar from a ventilation shaft in front of the entire neighborhood? She thought she had done a good deed, but what happened next turned everything upside down. They say no good deed goes unpunished. Cute. I'd stitch that on a throw pillow if I hadn't lived it at 11:48 p.m. on a Tuesday, standing 5 feet from a full-grown cougar wedged in a rusty ventilation shaft. I was working the late shift, quiet night, small town quiet, the kind that tricks you into thinking you finally earned a break. Then dispatch chirps. Strange noises in the vent system. Neighbor says it might be an animal. Cypress Ave, near the old mill. Right. Animal control's probably home, watching baseball with a sandwich. So, who shows up? Me, Officer Emilia Garcia, full-time cop, part-time zookeeper apparently. The second I stepped into that moldy husk of a building, I knew something was off. Not just the smell of rust and regret, it was quiet. Too quiet. Except for this low, rhythmic thud, like metal breathing. I followed it up to the service floor, flashlight in one hand, expectations in the other. Was I expecting a cougar? No.
No.
Was I dressed for one? Definitely not. But there she was. Big, muscular, covered in dust and sweat. Half her body jammed through twisted vents, the other half stuck and twitching. Eyes locked on mine, and I swear to you, those weren't predator eyes. Those were trapped eyes. Panicked, tired, silent. I didn't reach for my gun. I reached for my voice. Hey, hey, I see you. I'm not gonna hurt you. Hang in there. Now, pause for a second. Imagine explaining to your sergeant why you're whispering sweet nothings to a wild animal in a condemned factory. Go ahead. I'll wait. She didn't move, didn't growl, didn't snap. Just froze, breathing shallow. I got closer, heart pounding. I've handled plenty of dangerous situations, but this was different. This wasn't an arrest, this was a rescue. So yeah, I did the unthinkable. I put down my weapon, not because I'm reckless, but because I saw fear. Not in her claws, but in her ribs shaking under bent metal. I called wildlife services. They said, and I quote, "It's late. She'll have to wait till morning." Wait, wait. She's suffocating in a vent and they want to wait? So I did what I wasn't supposed to. I found a crowbar in the utility closet and started working the vent open myself. Metal screamed, dust flew. She flinched, but didn't bite. Brave girl. People started gathering outside. Nosy neighbors, phones in hand, already filming. One guy shouted, "Is that a mountain lion? Get it out of here." "Yes, sir. Thanks for your expertise. Let me just go ask her to leave politely." As I wrestled with the last bent panel, the cougar finally slipped free but collapsed exhausted in the corner, breathing hard, not moving, just watching me with those same glassy, rattled eyes. And what do I hear next? A voice on my radio. "Garcia, what the hell's going on up there? Are you armed? Do you need backup?" What I needed was a damn break, but what I got was the beginning of a nightmare. Below me, the crowd had doubled. A woman yelled that her kid played nearby. A man screamed about lawsuits. Someone yelled, "Shoot it." Phones were pointed everywhere, recording, judging, editing me in real time. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, I realized I wasn't just saving a wild animal anymore. I was about to go head to head with something way scarier, the court of public opinion. To be clear, I saved a dying animal. I expected backup. What I got was backlash. 5 minutes after I pulled that cougar out, I wasn't a cop anymore. No, apparently I'd become the star of a live circus called What's Wrong with This Woman, featuring angry neighbors, shaky live streams, and one very cranky superior officer now storming up the stairs. He burst through the doorway like a man expecting a hostage crisis, not a half-conscious animal in a corner. "What in the world is this, Garcia?" "That," I said, pointing, "is a suffocating mountain lion I just pulled out of your city's rusted ventilation system." She could have killed someone. She could have died, and no one gave a damn. I don't raise my voice, usually, but watching a scared animal get blamed for existing? That'll do it. Behind us, the radios buzzed louder. People downstairs were yelling about safety. One guy swore the cougar looked aggressive. Really, she hadn't moved in 10 minutes. But sure, let's all panic based on blurry phone footage and neighborhood gossip. My sergeant's hand hovered near his belt. Not threatening, but not relaxed either. "You know," he muttered, "you just made this department liable. Big time. Could have waited for wildlife." "Oh, they were thrilled to help," I snapped. "Said she could wait till morning. Maybe bleed out a little, choke a bit." I could feel it. The shift. That moment when your badge stops meaning protection and starts meaning problem. He wanted me to stand down, say I overreacted, walk away. Instead, I stepped between him and the cougar. I didn't pull my gun, I pulled her out. Silence, the kind that makes your skin itch. Down below, someone screamed. Not fear, outrage. A teenage boy had climbed halfway up the fire escape and was pointing his phone at me like a weapon. "She's defending a wild animal. What if it attacks?" "My cousin's dog got eaten once." Of course, here comes the folklore. By morning, they'd say the cougar had laser eyes and wings. Then, glass shattered. A rock, maybe a bottle, flew up, cracked against the railing. The cougar flinched, let out a low rumble that echoed off the walls. It was a warning, not to me, to them, but no one heard the difference. All they saw was a wild predator lifting its head. People started chanting. Yes, chanting, like I just turned this into a protest. "Put it down! Put it down!" You'd think they were talking about a bomb. I turned to my sergeant. "If you shoot her, you'll do it on camera, live, with every news outlet in the state watching. You ready for that headline?" His jaw tightened. He didn't answer. The cougar, still too weak to run, stared at me like I was the last thing standing between her and a bullet. And maybe I was. Because right then, nobody cared how she got stuck, or how I saved her. They just wanted an ending that made them feel in control. And I wasn't about to hand them one. This is the tipping point. Everything's about to erupt. What happened next? You won't believe who turned on who and how fast the rules changed.